With pick 14, Richmond select Jonty Fall.
I think Jonty's in there somewhere. Congratulations. A bolter tonight in our Fox Footy Draft. Had a huge second half of the year bouncing back from a back injury, and Benny Waterworth has likened him to Charlie Curnow.
Well, I've said Jesse Hogan because I love the way he presents in front. A big, strong, broad-shouldered young fellow that competes in the air brilliantly, hits the deck, he's back after it, and he had a wonderful year. He topped it off, he kicked 27 goals in 11 matches with the Rebels after having that back injury early in the year. But he kicked 5 in a final to propel his team they got into the grand final, and he was a leader. So I love that, not just the way he led and presented, but the way he said, come with me, let's get into this and show that the Rebels can be very competitive against the best sides of the competition, including the Sandy Dragons. So I thought he had a great year. That vice-like grip separates him from many others. You let him in front, bang. He clonks it, so he's your Jack Revolt if you want.
He's probably the most combative of all these tools in this mix. He loves to wrestle and compete, and he did have the back injury at the start of the year, which probably meant he was slightly inconsistent on what they thought, but he had a terrific back end of last season, and as you said, Shifter, a penetrating kick flies for his marks, and there's the key forward that Richmond are hoping can anchor their rebuild for the next 10 to 15 years.
Fremantle select Murphy Reid.
Classy and composed in traffic. Shifter, is this a bit of a steal for the Fremantle Football Club? He was rated quite high in the draft pecking order. Yeah,
and Sarah, when he's got MVP for Vic Metro next to his name, that's for the winning team in the championship, voted on by their coaches. You can see what they thought of him. He's a power runner and he's so cheeky and creative. I mean that in the right sense. Yeah, he'll look at you and say, I'm going to take you on, and you can handball it through your legs and get it back the other way. He's got plenty of tricks, this boy. A hard runner. I said he's like a Sam Walsh when he's hard running. Uses the ball very, very well, and no trouble finding it. Whatever level he plays, whether it's at Sandringham, Vic Metro, whether it was the under-17s last year, he just keeps finding the ball.
Yeah, no, Fremantle absolutely ecstatic to get Murphy Reid. They rated him really highly, so this is great that he has slipped through to 17. The way the draft has fallen, as you just touched on, he's all class. Shifter, he's a gut runner. He knows how to find the footy. He was one of only 4 players in the Coates League to average 25 disposals and a goal a game. He's got that scoreboard impact in him. He's so creative. He does things that, as you touched on, only the likes of Nick Dacos and things can do with the ability to kick on the outside of the boot and the no-look handballs and all these sorts of things. So, yeah, Fremantle have got themselves someone that could probably start at half forward and move himself into the midfield in time. But here's some of the examples, like the little shimmy and step. He's not blessed with the best speed out of some of the other mids, but he's got that ability to arch the back, and he always knows where traffic is and is able to get himself out of congestion and into space. And here are some of the examples in the championships that we spoke about in this game in particular, when the game was on the line, and this was the last quarter, close game. Here are just 2 moves within the space of 1 minute of each other. I mean, not many players in this draft class can pull off that and execute it, but he does this on a regular basis. The creativeness and the clever bits of play, and there's one more bit to come.
Yeah, you're spot on, Joey. I call him the chef. They call Steph Curry the chef of the NBA. This kid is absolutely cooking at every opportunity. I think he sees the gaps and the openings like no other, as we just saw on the lab there. And, you know, he's going to be an absolute beauty and adds a different dimension to the Fremantle Dockers as well.
With pick 18, GWS select Oliver Hanford.
Here's a bolter. Shifter, some late season form spectacular, and has seen him land at the Giants.
Well, he's the biggest improver, not just a bolter, but the biggest improver for the year. What a second half of the year. He kicked a 5 and a 6 in games. Then they got to the grand final. He's one of those Rebels boys from GWV, and he was their best player, playing a midfield role, 24 disposals. He played for Vic Country. He'd been playing lots of spots, defence, a little bit of midfield, a little bit of forward, but that second half of the year separated him from many of the other boys. He's got that aggressive edge you love to see with your small players. He stood out with that, vibrant, plenty of zest in the way he plays the forward, and he created some great goals in one of those finals games where he kicked a handful.
Yeah, a high energy, high impact type of player, and I liken him to a Lockie Schultz. And geez, GWS have done it again, haven't they? He's the first of the state combine attendees to get taken and surpassed a lot of those that got to national level. And he's got speed. I think he'll build his tank a little bit, which might allow him to get up and down the ground a little bit more. But statue is. He's elusive and he's very, very dangerous inside forward 50.
Yeah, one of the most competitive in this draft pool. He breaks tackles. He loves run-down tackles. And you're right, he's got to work on his endurance to get to that AFL level, but he's got a lot of really good traits that everyone's going to love watching him play.
With pick 23, Richmond select Harry Armstrong.
So another Tiger, Harry Armstrong, key forward, the leading tall key forward in the pack, kicked 27 goals from 10 games for Sandringham en route to their premiership win. Shifter.
I noticed Matty Lloyd there giving him a hug. We mentioned him off the top of the show with his influence on him at college there at Harbury College. This is the boy that is 195 centimetre, one of the best contested marks we've seen in the pool, and a thumping long left foot kick. He kicked 69 goals for the year when you count his school stuff with all these club and then representative footy, including 5 in that big game, Vic Metro, Vic Country, 4 in the grand final. He's a steal at 23. I can't believe he's still there then. That just shows the depth of that top 20 or so.
Yeah, you touched on it, Shifter. For mine, it's his range from outside 50. I mean, that's AFL-like already. When you've got the capacity to light him up from there, I think he's going to make a lot of defenders very, very nervous. The other thing I really liked about him was the defenders only got to look away for a second and get caught ball watching, and he's gone. He's heading forward. He can slip out the back. So he's going to make some opposition players very, very nervous.
And he's different to Jonty Fall. He's more of an athlete that plays closer to goal. He's that genuine full forward, almost like a Jai Amos style, where he gets really good separation and can hit the scoreboard. So they've managed to be able to pull it off, Richmond, and get 2 key forwards that are going to be hopefully pillars for a long, long time.
With pick 24, GWS select Cody OConnor.
This one is a real surprise, a real bolter tonight. Working extremely hard, the WA player. A bit of run and carry, Mick.
Yeah, I feel like we say this about just about every GWS pick in the last couple of years, but he is a genuine bolter, a midfielder that hits the scoreboard really, really well. I had a game late in the year against East Perth that I saw where he had 18 and kicked 4 and probably put a real genuine stamp on the minds of the GWS recruiting staff. He's got a beautiful step through traffic, good tank. He runs a 6-minute, 28 2-kilometre time trial, and you know, he's the goal-kicking mids are rare and worth their weight in gold, but he's not one that I expected to be called out as early as this, that's for sure.
Yeah, he had an interrupted start to the year, but still played all of their 4 games at national level. His kicking's elite. Yeah, just a beautiful, smooth mover that hits targets. Not racking them up with huge numbers at the minute, but you can see the class written all over him. He ended up playing in a premiership side there with Claremont too at under 18 level. So as the years gone on, you've seen the benefit of continuity in his game. You can see that class when he played in the Nationals. He played well against Vic Country in one of those games. So he's one of those to keep an eye on. A bit of a surprise first night, but not surprised he's been drafted.
Yeah, again, it's like the Giants just going for specific types. You know, they've had years where they've just gone top-end talent, taken the best players. Now they're going for the specific type. These half-forwards, again, that have got high skill and can get up the ground and hit targets inside 50. They're loading up with them. It's going to be fascinating to see how they sort of look at their list profile and where they all fit them into the side. But maybe they just feel they just can't get enough of them, and he's another one who's got elite kicking.
Pick 26, the Sydney Swans have selected Ned Bowman from Norwood and the Orroroo Football Club.
So we've got another bolter tonight. We've had a few of them, Shifter, and this guy is from South Australia.
Yeah, and sometimes you need to do something brilliant to catch attention. This boy took arguably the mark of the year at any level. It was at Colts level for Norwood early in the year. He stood on their shoulders. That was super special. Then it was a game in the National Championships against WA where he kicked 3. He was a half-back, could play wing, lightly built, rather gifted, but then he went forward and kicked 3 in pretty special fashion. And those little glimpses sometimes are enough for you to go back and have a look at the way he then finished his year. So it's sometimes that thin slice is enough for them to project that this boy has got that talent and that poise to play AFL. That's smart recruiting. Yes, so those national games didn't dominate. He's a St Peter's College boy, but together with his games at Norwood, he's shown enough for the Swans to pick him.
Yeah, a bit of a highlight, really, isn't he? Sort of just does some special things. Probably got to still work on his consistency, but he's able to create something out of nothing, find some goals, take some marks. So interesting that Sydney have gone with the 2 forwards, so Detoli and now Bowman. So maybe they feel that is an area that they need to address a bit more X factor, despite having Papley and Haywood, and we know that the midfielders kicked a lot of goals for them this year. Gordon, Warner, Heaney did a lot of the heavy lifting, but they've topped up their forward half and got someone in who's got some pretty special traits.
We had him ranked at pick number 89. He's gone 26. That is a huge jump. So congratulations, Ned.
I think that would maybe be off the back of his numbers. The numbers don't jump off the page. He's not a huge sort of possession getter and kicking huge volumes of goals, but what he does do is pretty creative and pretty special. So maybe there's someone they think there's really a lot of talent there to work with and might take a bit of time. But as we said, a bit like the Giants earlier with the Sydney Swans, they've got a bit of time.
They can afford it.
They're in a position where, they can be patient with some of these project players.
Yeah, you're right, Joey. He's got a good turn of speed in the contest as well. He's not too dissimilar to Tolley in his awareness and his vision, and he was just one of those players to me that when I watched him play, he showed genuine AFL traits, and you just sort of sat there going, I reckon this can transfer pretty quickly to the next level. And clearly the Sydney Swans group and Kinnear Beatson and the like thought along very, very similar lines.